How would you like to take your rough pencil sketch and transform it into a professional looking pattern that you can resize and use over and over again, or to offer it for sale to others online? If this sounds like something you'd like to do, stick around and I'll show you my step-by-step process for creating great looking patterns. All right, we're going to start our pencil sketch today by first laying out some layout lines. And I'm going to start with a 3-inch circle in the center of our piece of paper. And this is just regular copy paper, nothing special. I'm going to draw this 3-inch circle. And then I'm going to mark the top, sides, and bottom on my little lines here, and use those to create a horizontal line and a vertical line. And I'll use these lines to help me keep things in proportion. Then next I want to put a 2 1/4-inch circle in the middle. And this is going to be the outside of our flower petals. So we got 2 circles. Outside circle is going to be the center line of our vines as they wrap around. And the inside circle is going to be the petal, the outside of the petals of the flower. So I'm not really trying to show you how to do these floral designs. If you're into that, check out Don Gonzalez. He's a saddle maker out of Texas. He's got a YouTube channel, and he shows a lot. He has a lot of different videos on how to draw Sheraton patterns. That's not what this video is about. I just want to go through a simple one flower Sheraton style pattern and use that to go into Affinity Designer and show you how to create a professional looking pattern from a simple pencil sketch. So let's get started. I'm going to create a flower and use a pattern of 6 petals. So I want to do a layout of 6 different segments, and I'm just going to eyeball this. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I might have to adjust these as I go. We'll see here. So here's 1. And the beauty of this device right here is a little magical thing at the end that lets me make corrections as I go along. I think they call it an eraser. And it's my best friend, so I screw up a lot. All right, so I'm just getting a rough idea here for starters. So something like that should work. And then I'll extend these out. All right. So like I say, I'm not trying to teach you Sheraton design. Just trying to show you how to use the computer. So I'm not going to bore you by showing you this drawing very slowly. I'm going to speed it up here so you'll get a quick idea of what I'm doing, and then I'll come back when we have made some progress. All right, so here's our rough sketch. I'm going to go in and darken up all these lines, and then we're going to take a photograph of it and email it to ourselves so that we can import it into our graphic software, our Affinity Designer. Affinity Designer version 2 actually is what I use. So I'll do that, and I'll come back and show you what I got. All right, first off, I want to explain a little bit about the software I'll be using to create our final pattern. It's from a company called Serif, and they offer 3 graphic creation programs. The main one I'll be using is called Designer version 2, and at the time of this video, it regularly sells for $69, but they have a summertime promotion going on where they offer a 25% discount. Unlike Adobe and Corel, this is a one-time fee, and you own the software and you can use it as much as you want. Now be aware, I'm not affiliated with Serif at all. I don't receive any compensation for this video. It's just the software that I use. I used to use CorelDRAW and Photoshop, but they both went to a prescription-based pricing, and I'm just not going to do that. You can certainly use those programs to do this type work, but honestly, I found Affinity Designer does a better job than Illustrator or CorelDRAW. I'll be using both Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo in this demonstration, but you can get by with just using Affinity Designer, and I'll show you the difference in a bit. This is not going to be a complete tutorial on using Designer, which is a very powerful tool, but there's lots of videos online that you can watch to get up to speed with the software. Today I'm just going to show you how I use Designer to create finished drawing patterns for leathercraft. So let's open up Designer and get to work. Alright, first thing I did was double click on the little blue Affinity Designer 2 logo on my desktop, and up pops my program. And we want to create a new document. We're going to do that by going up to File, New, and up pops our menu for different sizes. We're going to select Letter down here. We see that we have some margins outlined in blue. We don't need the margins, so I'll just click the Margin tab, uncheck the Include Margins, and then go down to the bottom right-hand corner and click Create. And up pops our new document. Now what we want to do now is bring in our photograph of our pencil sketch. So we'll go up to File and Place, and we see our pencil sketch here. Click it and click Open, and then we're going to click with the left mouse button and drag, and there comes our pencil sketch. Now notice that it shows up over here. This is our layers palette, and it shows up as an individual layer, and we can hide or view the layer by clicking the little round ball right there. Next thing I want to do is show you some of the tools we're going to use. We'll be using the pencil tool to draw with, the circle tool we can use to do the center of the flower. The zoom tool we'll use to zoom in and zoom out, and the way I do the zoom in and zoom out is use the alternate button, so we can zoom out. Let's see if we can keep zooming out. Doing it slowly, but we're getting there. Or without holding down the Alt button, we click and it zooms in. Alright, if you get say you're zoomed in too far and you want to see it the whole page, you can go up to View, drop down to the first menu item, which is Zoom, and then Zoom to Fit, and your entire drawing comes up to the center of the page. Okay, the first thing I want to do is show you some drawings with the pencil tool, and you can see it there. If I go along and draw across this line right there, it's a little bit jig-jaggedy, and it's not very wide, so we have to change what's called the stroke. Up here we can change the width of our line. You see that? If I bring this up, we can also, if we go to color, and this little ring right here indicates what color our outline is at this point. If we click on that and then go to select what other color we want, in this case I like using red so that it contrasts with the pencil drawing, the darkness of the pencil drawing. So click right there. Now we have a red line. Now that's pretty thick. Excuse me. We'll go back to stroke, And let's change the line thickness to a 2-point. So I just with the keyboard hit 2 and then enter. And now our line is more reasonable. Now I'm going to switch. I was doing all that with the mouse. I'm now going to switch to a little Wacom tablet. And it makes drawing a little bit easier. You can do all of this with the mouse, but I like using the tablet when I'm drawing like this kind of stuff. So make sure we got our pencil tool selected, and we do. And I'm just going to go in and do a little bit of sketching. And something I want you to notice is the line that I'm drawing is way behind the tip of the pencil. See, as I come around, see how I have to go that far out just to get it to end right there? That's because I've got this stabilizer set on, this rope mode, and that just helps smooth things out. I've also got I'm going to turn on the sculpt mode, which will help it be a little bit smoother too. And I'm just going slowly and watching the tip of the pencil draw to the, I'm going to delete that and go back and do that. Watch the tip of the pencil along my line as I move slowly. And you got to remember to go past your line because of this rope mode. Now you can change that distance right here with the length. If you don't want the rope mode to be quite as long, we can reduce that some, and it'll make it a little bit easier to make these lines. Make sure we got our pencil tool selected over here. Draw a line here and see if this is any easier to do. So not quite as far back. We still have to extend our lines. And again here. Now, something you'll notice is I'm not doing the best job in the world. And that's because Affinity Draw gives us the ability to go back and correct things. That's pretty smooth. Let's zoom in a little bit and take a look at that line. Make sure I got my zoom tool selected. And see, it's a little bit crooked. So we're going to use another tool called the node tool right here. Select it, make sure we got the node tool. And then as we click, I'm just tapping on that node. And these little handlebars come up right here. We call them tails. And we can adjust the curvature of our line by dragging these tails around. We can also, if we don't want a node, we can select it where it turns blue and then hit the delete key, and that node disappears. And then we can select the nodes on either side of where it was, and we can grab the handles and drag and smooth lines out that way. And if I just tap in a white space, you can see that line. And we can also, if we select it when we've got the node tool as our selected tool, we can grab the endpoint and drag it out longer too to match our other line. So that's why I'm not real concerned about the lines as I'm drawing them, because I have the ability to alter them and smooth them out as I go along just by using our handles and our nodes like this. I just grab these handles and create the best arc I can, and we can always come back and adjust as we need to. And this is a little bit tricky at first using these nodes to draw with, but you'll get the hang of it with practice. So what I'm going to do now is go around and draw all my lines, and then I'll speed up the video, and then when I get to a point where I'll show you some more, I'll slow the video back down and see what I can do about explaining this a little better. So first, I'm going to get my pencil tool and go to town. Okay, I've got all my lines except I missed this one right here. Let's go ahead and get this one. And I haven't done my center circle because I want to show you that. We're going to use the ellipse tool here and go in and hit the shift key and the alternate key, I think it is. No, it's the shift and the control key, and that'll draw the circle off the center. And then I can move this around. If I go to this very top tool, this is the move tool, I can select it and move it around. And if you notice, we've got kind of a gray fill here. That's because our fill's not white. So go up here to fill, and I'm actually going to select no fill. That's what this slash is. And then now you can see through our ellipse. So we've got that drawn. All right, I've got all the lines in place, and as you can tell, this doesn't look very good. This doesn't look very professional. So what I've got to do now is go back with the node tool and select each of these lines and tune them up. So this line here, that looks pretty good to me. Now look at this line, it's really bad. So we're going to select it. Oh, we got to have the node tool selected. I'm still on the move tool. All right, so I select it, and notice how some of these nodes are crooked. So what I'm going to do is select like this one that's out of line, and then I'm going to hit the delete key. All the rest don't look too bad. We could eliminate this one, so we'll delete it. And then I'm going to go back to each of these nodes and line them up by dragging the tails so that they look good. Now if you'll drag, notice on this one if you drag so that each tail is the same length away from the node, you'll get the best curvature. Select this one and see how it's so close in. If we drag it out, it'll start looking better. Need to drag this one out some too. And we can move this one down a little bit. I'm just holding and dragging that node. League of American Bicyclists wants to send me a message. Let's see. Drag this out. Drag this out. And you can just play around with these to get a good looking curve. And I don't like where this ends. I want it to be out a little bit farther. And this is off kind of. Like I say, you'll get used to adjusting these nodes and getting a good curvature. All right, now, well, let's go back. I want to do this line right here, finish it up. Because it's a really crooked one too. And it's got all these nodes. Now what I'll do is select multiple nodes, like both of these, and hit the delete key. And then I'll select like all three of these nodes and hit the delete key. And then I'll come back and work off the remaining nodes that I have and stretch them out to get a good arc. The less nodes you have, we're going to delete this one, the better curve you can get in most cases. There are some cases where it doesn't work that way, but in most cases, the less noise, the better the curve. I'm going to delete that one now. And we'll drag this one out. And see how that gives us a pretty nice curve there. Drag it out a little bit more. Maybe right there. Actually, I'm going to delete this one and just work off the two ends. Whoop. Okay, see how I moved the background? Let me show you something. Over here on the layer, our pencil sketch layer, if you go right next to our view circle, there's a little lock. And if we click that lock, it locks this layer and you can't move anything. All right, where was I? I don't even remember where I was. Let's look at this line. We got to have our node tool selected. And again, I got too many nodes. Let's delete some of these and see if we can straighten this or get a good curvature on this line. I need to move this one down some. All right, so you see how I do that. Also, back down to our pencil sketch layer, I'm going to turn off the view, and you can see the lines that we've created at this point. So I'm going to go in with the node tool and change the flow of all my lines, get all this crookedness out wherever I've got, match the ends and stuff, and then I'll come back when I've taken care of all of that. Okay, I've got my lines pretty much where I want them, and then the flow about right. So one thing I want to show you now is what I'm going to do to these petals. I'm going to add some detail, some little scallops to these, just by adding some noise, something like this. And I'm doing this quickly for the sake of the length of this video. I don't want it to be too long, but I wanted to show you how you can go in and make adjustments as you need to. And to create a new node, I just double tap on my line segment, and then I'll bring up another node. I lost my node tool. Okay, so that's roughly the scallops on our petals, and I'll go back and refine those. But like I said, for the sake of the length of this video, I'm trying to expedite things. Alright, I've got all my lines pretty much where I want them. I might go back and do some tweaking later, but good enough for right now. The next thing I want to do is go over to my layers palette and go down to the pencil sketch, and I'm going to turn the visibility off on this, and you can see what we've come up with. Now, I use the red outline because it contrasts well with the pencil drawing, but at some point we got to turn it to black, and I think we'll do that now. So the way we do this, we go up to the top of our layers palette, click our latest curve that we created. And then we're going to go back down to the bottom of the palette and shift and click the last curve, or the first curve that we created. And then we're going to go up to our color section here and stroke. And right now you see we've got the stroke set at red. We're going to change this to black. We can go over and use one of our swatches. That changed it to black, and it changed our image to black. So now we're pretty much ready to go, except for I want to color in these areas where the vines wrap around. And the way we do that is in Photoshop. Oh, excuse me, it's going to be Affinity Photo. I used to do it in Photoshop, but now I use Affinity Photo. That's another program that's part of this Affinity package from Serif. It's another $69, but it gives you a lot of flexibility, especially if you work with any kind of photographs and want to do photo manipulation. But it also lets you paint, whereas Designer just lets you draw vector-type line images. So in order to access Paint, if you've got that program, you just go up to File, and we go down to, actually we're going to go to Edit, and down to, well, maybe it is File. Edit and Photo. I was right the first time. Click on that, and it brings up Affinity Photo 2. And there's our image. Now we're going to use the paintbrush tool here. And we can set the size of our paintbrush by holding down the Control and Alt keys. And let's go somewhere about right in there. And then again, we've got the zoom button. We can zoom in, and we can start painting with the brush. So like this. That's a pretty big brush. We can go around and do the best we can, and then as we need to, we can use a smaller brush. So again, to change the size, Control and Alt, and just move your mouse button left or right, make it larger or smaller, make the paintbrush larger or smaller. And we can go in and paint our areas like this. Now you could do this with Designer, but you would have to draw a pattern that fills in this entire white area and then use the fill tool. That could be quite time consuming. So I've got Affinity Photo, I guess it's called. And for that reason, that's what I'm going to use. That and the fact that it's much easier than doing it in Designer. And you can see I'm just carefully going around here and coloring inside these lines. Again, I'm going to change the size of my paintbrush so I can get up in here. And I'm using the mouse right now. I'm not using my pen tablet. Slowly filling this in. And we got a little spot over here. All right, so that's how you use the Affinity Photo to paint with. And I'm going to go ahead and paint in these other dark areas where our vines wrap around. And when I've got that finished, I'll slow the video down and come back and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, we're back and we've colored in all our black areas of our design. And one other thing I want to show you while we're in Affinity Photo, if I zoom in here, notice that when we drew our lines, all of our line ends are rounded. All right. Well, if we go over here to our brush tool, make sure we're in our brush tool, like so, and come over here and make our fill color or our brush color white. Let's see if we can get a white. There we go. Close this. And now on these line ends, I can just sort of sweep the edge and see how I create a little feathered line. Whoops, edit, undo. We made a mistake there. We can make little line ends that kind of feather out. If you want to spend the time to go in and do that, it does make it look a little bit nicer, but it is a little bit time consuming. But I did want to show you that there is that option here. You can feather the line ends like such. All right, let's zoom back out to full screen. So we'll go to View, Zoom, and Fit to Screen. Now, I want to go back into Designer. So I'll go back up here to, I believe it's File, and Edit in Designer. Okay, now we're back to the vector image where we could actually change our lines if we wanted to. But one thing we can do at this point, and this is really cool, we can save our design. Just go to File and Save As, and type whatever name you want to type in there. And you'll have this file to use it as a pattern anytime you want. But what I want to show you is you can go up here and we have the little move tool selected, and we can select the entire design, and then we can grab a corner and stretch it. And if we use the shift key, it'll stretch proportionally, and we can resize it any size we want. And this is a great way to store your patterns and use them on different things. Like you could use the same design on a keychain or a large pattern like a big valet tray. So that's the beauty of doing your designs in Affinity, as well as making them look very professional. You could sell your patterns if that's what your gig was and you wanted a little side hustle. Anyway, that's how I go from a pencil sketch to a finished design. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video and got something out of it. If so, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and you'll be notified when I produce other videos that might be interesting to you. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.